Hi, I'm Cameron, and I don't just read comics. I love them. Welcome back to another episode of Cameron Reads Comics. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about World's Finest #1 by Mark Waid and Dan Mora. For those that have been following the channel, I did a review of everything coming out in the next year, and I wanted to talk about what I'm looking forward to most. And when it came to single issues, ongoing series that were announced, this is my absolute #1. For those that don't know, when it comes to superhero comics, Mark Waid is my absolute favorite writer. I think that he just kind of nails essential attributes of the characters, and the voice that he gives them is the voice that, in the representation that I have in my head. That's what you should know. And then number 2 is Dan Mora. I think is I would say underrated, but I think that he's now kind of getting his time to shine. If you want to check out some of his work, he's done #1 a million awesome Batman images. I think there's an argument to be made that he's the current best Batman artist. And also, if you want to go check that out, go read. He did him and Mariko Tamaki right after, very recently. Mariko Tamaki's currently still on the Detective Comics title. He did a run, I think it was Batman Future State Dark Detective. And then he did with Mariko Tamaki her Detective Comics run, and he picked up the title after that. So post Future State Detective Comics, he was on Batman, and his art was phenomenal. He has one page in particular where he brings actually back this kind of look for Batman. Is Norm Brayfogle inspired suit. It's a big splash page. It's probably one of my favorite Batman images of all time. So loving this artist and seeing him #1 work on Batman, and then loving Mark Waid as a writer, I knew that this was a title that I wanted to pick up. Very specifically too, Mark Waid has been so vocal in saying that he's worked on so many characters. If you are a major comics fan, I'm sure you have heard his name. #1 character he wants to work on that he's never gotten to do an ongoing series for is Superman. So one of my favorite writers writing his favorite character. I just knew that this was something I wanted to pick up, and I'm so glad I did. You guys already know how I'm going to rate this at the end, I'm sure. I think, first of all, in this book, when it comes to the story, there's some framework that we should all be aware of. #1, it is mid-Batman with Dick Grayson Robin. And that's a very particular, dynamic that they're having. I think that kind of explains the blue cape, the yellow circle. It's a very Neil Adams-esque take on Batman. And that being the case, it's that generation. I think Mark Waid has the tendency to lean into a Silver Age sensibility in the way he writes, and I think we're going to see that throughout the series. Personally, I'm a fan. I like classic. I like old school, comic books. And so to see him bring that flavor, and there's an upbeatness to this story and the tone of it, and the way that it's going to connect to the larger DC universe. Seeing that in this story, I think, is really well done. I also really love a modern take. There's a lot of old vintage stories of Batman and Dick Grayson Robin, but I feel like it's not often that we kind of get to see a modern rendition of it. And this isn't an origin story. It is current, them being, Batman and Robin together, which we know obviously he becomes Nightwing, and you know how much I love that run. This is a great take of their dynamic in accordance to their relationship with Superman too. So some things to look for from this Silver Age, narrative. I think that this kind of shows that Batman and Superman are best friends. In a flashback, they shake hands. It's very much an old chum. And one of the things that stuck out to me that really kind of gave me a Silver Age tone was that in this first issue, in the first scene, Batman is coming out in the daytime, which, that's not quite the Batman we know and love, but it is, he has done something he has done before, and it's really interesting. So the other thing that stuck out to me in this book that I absolutely adored is Robin's dialogue. There's something, I guess, that I never noticed, but I internalized about Robin and the Batman relationship, which is the villains don't care about Robin, they only care about Batman. And so everyone is trying to use Robin as a ploy to get to Batman, and then Robin's they're like, I'm going to get you, Batman. He's like, Dick Grayson will be like, and Robin, I am here too. It's just so funny, and it's upbeat, and we don't get that for Batman often. So I really enjoy it because it's not taking Batman seriously. It is just hey, it can be a bright, fun comic book story too. And so Bruce's voice is very much Batman's voice, but the mood of the comic is not just so dark and dreary, which I love. And it's something similar to what Mark Waid did on his Daredevil run that I just appreciate. So Dick Grayson as like, it's almost, I want to say it's like, and I hate this example, but like, I want to say it's like Deadpool-esque dialogue. He's not being, he's not breaking the fourth wall or doing anything crazy like that, but he's just almost audience narration, and it's just so lively. It's so spry, and I'm a huge fan. Next up, one of my favorite things in this book, or in the story, was that we got an appearance from the Doom Patrol. I think this series is going to be very reminiscent of the Jeff Loeb, Michael Turner, and Ed McGuinness Batman Superman run, or I think it's Superman Batman at the time, where, we have these two characters just kind of working together. Robin's a part of the team too, and it's them, just going around interacting with the rest of the DC universe, and I think that's what we're seeing here. And it's like the OG Doom Patrol, and they look so cool. That is like Dan Mora, it's Dan Mora. Dan Mora's art, amazing. Like, just the sensibility, the tone, and like huge shout out to the colorist on this book. Also, I wanted to say I'm such a big fan that I picked up the Jason Fabok variant cover. I am currently hunting for the Chip Zdarsky Batman slapping Superman cover because it's probably the greatest thing I've ever seen. So I try not to get too carried away with variants these days, but I loved this and I loved that one. So I just know that I almost bought all the variants for this, and I was like, I can't do that. There's just no point. But I'm a fan. I love it. So the Doom Patrol and Dan Mora coming in and just really showing like the coolness of it. I loved it. It's awesome, and I like that we're going to be interacting with the rest of the DC universe. And I know that they're going to bring Supergirl in. The cover for issue number 4 has Green Lantern. I'm down for that. I just love a good old Batman Superman adventure romp interacting with the rest of the DC universe because I want it to feel connected. More so than it, not more so than it currently does, but like I just love those interactions and that history. And those dynamics, because I know that Mark Waid will just absolutely nail those dynamics. So for the art, I just wrote Dan Mora brings the heat, and he does. Even this cover, I think, is just perfect. I just think that this book is finally going to give him some of the notoriety that he deserves, because the people that know who he is love what he's doing. And if you don't know, then pick this up, and you will. And then you'll be on the bandwagon too, because it's almost like 90s Jim Lee. It's just, it has that kind of power. You just know that this dude is going to be a powerhouse in the industry. And so I'm just so glad to see that he's getting his due. And I mean this when I say this, every single page in this book is beautiful. I think I'm going to have to do a reread because, number one, the art was that good. And I don't know how well I was able to pay attention to the dialogue happening because I was just so like entranced by the art. I'm like, oh, I just want to keep turning the pages, So that's the best. I just love that. I had a great time. I knew I was going to have a great time. So now for my rating, usually I say, am I going to pick up the second issue? I'm going to pick up the second issue. I highly recommend. I think this book it's only issue 1, so there's time for it to really grow into something else, but I think that there's the potential for this book is going to be awesome. So please go pick it up, because if you won't, I will. I'll go buy 3 more copies because I want all the variants. I'm Cameron. I don't just read comics. I love them. Please clobber the like and subscribe buttons, and maybe leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of this issue or what you're looking forward to this year. See you next time.